Hey YouTube, it's Norm here. How's it going? You know, over the weekend on Sunday, Vera and I went over to see 2012. That new movie with John Cusack and whatnot. Man, I tell you, good movie. Fucking lot of action. You know, a lot of stuff going on. I love that end of time stuff, man. It's like I'm preparing. So, you know, that movie had me thinking, but Vera and I are sitting there in the theater getting ready for the movie to start. And the movie starts filling up. You know, Vera and I get there early. We get these two in seats, right? So Vera sits at the end, then me. And people are starting to pile into this theater. Vera says to me, she says, Norm, she says, man, if somebody sits next to us, we're moving. I'm leaving. She says, I'm not staying here when somebody sits next to us. And I'm looking at me, and I look over at her, and I say, honey, nobody's going to sit next to us. And she says, yeah, they will. This theater's filling up. There's not going to be any. I said, there's always going to be seats. People are going to go sit down there. The stadium seating's up here, yeah. But people are going to go sit down in the regular seating. You know why? Because they're not going to sit next to me because I'm fat. Pretty simple. My fat roll goes over the edge of the seat. So my fat roll will cover and go over the handrail on the seat, right? I know one time I was coming back from Buffalo, New York, and I was flying on a plane. So I flew on a plane. I had to catch a connection in Chicago. So I had to run from the big planes to the little planes, catching a connection from Chicago to St. Louis. So I'm running. I'm on I get there right when the plane's already take off. You have to walk out to the runway to get on. It's the last person on that plane. Everybody else is already seated on that plane. So I got the last seat. So I got a seat. It's one of those little planes, got two seats on one side and one seat on the other side. Of course, there was no single seats open. So I had to sit next to somebody on the other side. And I'm sweating. It's summertime. I've got sweat pouring out. I've got my bags. I'm running in there. I'm piling it. I've just ran. My ankles are sore. I don't even know how I made it. And the guy's face when he sees me walk on the plane. But you know what? Whatever. You know, so my fat and my sweat and my disgustiness was going over into his seat, and he probably didn't have the best ride, but at least I had an aisle seat, so I could try and kind of just go like this on the aisle and just shove myself over the aisle. So that was good. I hate going to a ball game, like a baseball game or something like that, or you go to any kind of ball game. There's pretty little seats there at the ball games, right? So it's one of those things. Like one of my friends was telling me the other day, he said, "Yeah, I just got asked to go to this hockey game with another friend." I said, "Well, that makes sense. Of course he's not going to ask me. I'm fat. If I'm sitting next to him, in those little tiny seats, it's going to be very uncomfortable for both of us." And he's a large guy. So he asked my friend who's a small guy, which I don't blame him. But, it's also good being fat. I know my friend one time when I was in high school, and I wasn't nearly as fat as I am now, but we were playing football at a park. And he says to me, I'm running, trying to catch this football, right? And, I can't do it. I'm huffing and puffing after running, a few yards or whatever. And, he says, well, man, that's a disadvantage of having a fat friend, being is that, you're not as athletic. I said, well, the advantage of having a fat friend is that we're very jolly. And I laughed. But anyway, one Halloween, my buddies in college, what they did was they dressed me up as a pumpkin, or I dressed myself up, I guess. But I took all of my shirt off and just covered my whole body in orange paint, and then drew like a jack-o'-lantern face over my stomach, and then like dyed my hair, like the color of a stem or whatever, and then wore like these black long underwear. That was a fun one. But yeah, being fat, if you ever broken a chair, I'm sure almost all fat people have broken chairs before. That can be kind of embarrassing. But once again, you blow it off, right? It's just something that happens. But, I'm like, nobody is going to sit next to us at the movie 2012, right? Nobody. So nobody did, obviously. Good movie. I do recommend it. There's some slow parts in it, but, man, I like that type of stuff. And as soon as I got out of that movie, I started to prepare for the End of Times 2012. So talking to Vera, we have started. Now, see where we're located. If you know the movie, it deals with the end of times, the Mayan calendar, all that BS. Well, actually, it's very true, I guess, right? And how the end of times are going to happen, and what Yellowstone National Park, which is a big super volcano, is going to go off and all that stuff. So when Yellowstone goes off, where we're located here in the central United States, you know, we're going to get covered with a ton of ash, right? And we might even get some of that fireball. So we need to prepare for that. So what I'm doing is I'm retrofitting my basement, and I'm going to go out and buy some steel at Home Depot. And I'm going to put it all around the outside of my basement and then over the ceiling down there. So I'm going to be able to prepare that. And I was thinking about just getting buying a bunch of bags of like cheap dog food or something. Just be prepared, you know, because, you know, I don't have money for really expensive food. So I figure, you know, dog food might not be the most nutritious thing in the world, but at least it'll get us through the hard times after the 2012 disaster. But in the movie, you know, they've got like a big tsunami that goes over the whole fucking world anyway. So, you know, it's not like you'll survive that. But, you know, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. And maybe my steel basement might survive the tsunami. But why would it make it all the way up here? I don't know. Well, anyways, but I'm just rambling now. But man, guys, you know, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a long time. You know, if you've already watched this far in the video, you're at least somewhat of a dedicated fan. And because most people probably have already turned the video off. But a lot's been going on, and I'm going to make some more videos. And I appreciate you guys watching. And I tell you, you know that barbecue sauce video I made, you know, where McDonald screwed me out of some barbecue sauce, you know, and all this stuff. Well, it happened again. And Vera goes up to the barbecue, up to McDonald's to get some barbecue. And Vera, all I want is some chicken McNuggets and some Chipotle barbecue. I love their Chipotle barbecue. It's pretty good. And she comes back, and she doesn't have Chipotle barbecue. She has sweet and sour. So I tell her, I say, I don't want this. I said, I'm not going to eat it. So Vera and I get into this big fight. Chicken McNuggets get thrown all over the place, you know. And I said, well, Vera, screw this. I'm calling McDonald's. So I call it McDonald's, and I tell them, I say, you know, this is BS. I want my Chipotle barbecue sauce, and all my food was destroyed. They said, do you still have your receipt? So I look, I said, oh yeah, I got it. You know, it's covered in like grease and like barbecue sauce and, not barbecue sauce, but sweet and sour sauce, and it was half ripped up, but I said, yeah, I got the receipt. So they said, come on up here, and we'll give you your food again, and we'll replace your order. So they did. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. But hey guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in America. And whatever you guys celebrate outside of America. Later.